Well, thanks for staying with us, everyone. You're watching Anambra Decides on TVC News. We've been speaking with our correspondent and our guests who have been standing by for us. One in Anambra studio, one in Abuja studio rather, and the other on Zoom. But we'll bring in our correspondent now.
Uche Okoro. All right, Uche Okoro, talk to me. Can you confirm if collation, sorting, and counting, have begun at the polling units?
Sorting and counting has commenced in many parts of Anambra State, particularly in different parts of Nnewi South and Nnewi North and what have you. Sorting and counting has wrapped up. In fact, in many of the polling units, the electoral officials have left the place back to where the local government collation will be happening. Many polling units are completely closed down, closed shop for the day. But here, you can see that they are wrapping up. Collation is done. The ballot boxes have all been filled. The result sheets that are supposed to be filled and signed here at the various polling units, those election result sheets have been filled. The political party agents at the various of the various political parties have also signed those result sheets. Here in this is still Ward 1. We have about 6 polling units here, and all 6 have wrapped up voting, sorting, and counting. So it is so far so good as far as some parts of Anambra State are concerned.
Benga, just speak to us about because even in terms of candidates, Uche, even in terms of candidates, we've seen just a disparity in the gender gap. We've seen more men, coming out as candidates than women, 14 men and 2 men. Is that also replicated at the polling units? Talk to us about the gender gaps in terms of voters.
Well, from my experience and from what has happened here today in Anambra State, definitely it is a given and it's normal that you will have men far outnumbering the women as candidates. But in the polling units, most times, and as exactly what has happened here today, the majority of the voters that have turned up to vote are women, middle-aged to elderly women. You have, if off my head, I will give you a ratio of male to female voters here at the various polling units that I've visited. I'll give you a 7-3. The voters are predominantly women, as is almost always the case on election day. You have 80% women, 20% men, or 70% women, 30% men, and amongst them, the middle-aged to elderly, and even fewer youth. So that's the situation. Many of the women are still here. You can see behind me, many of the women are still here, waiting to ensure that the electoral officials live here safely and to ensure that there are no, in quotes, manipulations of election results. We are at the concluding stages of the election here. The security agencies are waiting on standby. Vehicles are also being prepared to convey some of these electoral officials that are here. They are waiting. You can see many of them are waiting for security agencies and their vehicles to convey them to where collation will take place at the local government level before it moves to the state level. So that's where we are. That's where we are.
All right. Would you say that the young people are more visible than the older ones?
Well, the reverse is the case. As a matter of fact, the older persons are more visible. Whereas some INEC will report that they have a significant number of young persons on the voter register list. But on election day, experience has shown, and exactly what has happened today, on election day, you would find that majority of people who come to stand in line to cast their votes are the middle-aged to elderly persons. You have a few youth, but the people who are actually behind the line to cast their votes are majority are middle-aged to elderly. That's what has happened here today. Many of the youths who turn up to the polling units, many of them do not turn up to vote. They turn up to observe and and perhaps disturb the peace. It's quite ironical that INEC will report that they have a significant number of voters who are youth who have their permanent voters card.
All right, but from your observation, how significant is the voter turnout compared to previous elections?
compared to previous elections, it's neither here nor there. I really cannot outrightly say that there was apathy. I also cannot outrightly say that the turnout was as impressive as it should have been. It could have been better, actually, but I wouldn't say that this election was marred by apathy. But what I can tell you is that given the number of people on the Anambra State voter register, I expected more persons to come up. I say that because, throughout the course of the election, while I traversed different parts of Anambra State, I noticed particularly that election closed very early in the majority of the polling units. By 2 p.m., 1 p.m., many of the polling units had become almost deserted, leaving the electoral officers with little or nothing to do. So that says a lot about the level of turnout of the voters. But like I said, I would not give my rating as outright apathy.
Uche, can you also give us updates in terms of, I know you said collation has commenced, and I'm wondering if that has been uploaded, some of these results, in some of the polling units you went to, if some of these results have already been uploaded on IRF.
If you are experiencing technical issues, but the reason why that has not been that hasn't generated as the kind of controversy that we expect or that we predict or that is likely to have caused is because the political party agents appear to be comfortable with the results that were declared at the polling unit and were filled on the physical form, because normally there would be a form here where the results, after they are sorted and counted, the results will be imputed on the form here where the party agents would have to sign and receive a copy. So far, there's been no disagreements. To the best of my knowledge, there's been no disagreements as to the results that have been declared at the polling unit. That's the reason why I believe that the issues or challenges with upload and no upload hasn't led to any fist-bumps or any crisis or any disagreement between the various political party agents here in the state.
All right, still talking about the issue of voter apathy. Some of the persons that you interacted with, some that didn't actually vote, what reasons were they given for not coming over to vote? Is it based on mistrust or insecurity reasons? Did they give you reasons for not showing interest in the election?
You asked and answered the question. Those were the exact two reasons that I was given when I interacted with those. A lot of them chose not to speak off camera, but those were the two reasons. Many people do not believe. Many of them expressed uncertainty as to the integrity of the process. Now, what stood out for me in many of those off-record conversations was the fact that many of them would point out to the fact that they voted 2017, the one before that, and the last one before this one. But this time around, they are not coming out to cast their votes. They have their permanent voters cards with them in their bags, in their wallets, in their pockets, but they have no intention to use it because they do not trust the system. So that reason stood out. That reason was pretty conspicuous. But on the other hand, you also have people who say, yeah, we believe that the election will reflect the will of the people, but we don't feel too safe coming out. In fact, our relatives have warned us. Yesterday I was close to the tertiary in Nnewi University, and a number of students who we spoke to said their parents have warned them to rush home, that should not have anything to do with the election or stay anywhere around where electoral activities will be taking place. So yes, like I said, you asked and you answered the question. Mistrust of the system and security concerns might have contributed to what I describe as a lot of room for improvement as regards voter turnout here in Anambra State.
All right, thank you so much, Uche, for that update. Our correspondent, Uche Okoro, live for us in Anambra State. Thank you for that update.